Hey, welcome to another video featuring a fat dude and his glorious Maserati. In this video, I'm going to be installing a reversing camera, DAB radio, and a car launcher. So in my previous video, I installed a 9-inch Drimatt head unit and a cool little air conditioning display. That was something that really transformed the interior of this car. I've been using the unit for a few weeks now, and I have to say that I'm genuinely impressed with it. You know, yes, I did receive it free of charge in order to do a review, but I do think that this is one of the best modifications you can make to this car. It really changes the driver's experience because you end up with CarPlay. You've got a touch screen instead of the old one that you jab and expect something to happen and nothing does. It's got rid of those horrible sticky buttons, and it's given me a reverse camera. But perhaps the best thing it's done is it's given me the ability to watch YouTube inside my car. Now, like any Android device, it's very configurable. You can change it and personalize it to what you want. It's also got all those RCA plugs coming out the back, so you could install underseat subwoofers and extra amplifiers and speakers should that be your sort of thing. Unfortunately for me, I don't have any spare cash. I've got too many projects and too many problems and too many demands for the little wage that I get from but what I can do is I can fit a car launcher onto this system just to give it that little bit more bling when it starts up. I can also install a DAB radio, which I'm looking forward to doing, and I can install that reversing camera. But before I get on with that, just take a look at this sky. It's blimmin' amazing. So in my previous video, I installed the 9-inch head unit from Drimatt. This was quite an easy thing to do, but I ran out of time to complete the camera setup. The head unit is supplied with a 2K camera that requires a wire to be routed to the rear of the car. I have decided to mount the camera on my boot lid so that I can use the reversing lights as both a switch and a power supply for that camera. Right, so the next job is to get all the camera line in for the reversing camera. So that entails removing these rear seats, which apparently is a really easy job. So this armrest here is apparently spring-loaded. So if you go like this, oh look at that, just comes out like that. Just comes out like that. Yeah, just spring-loaded like that. Cool, that was easy. The next bit I'm a little bit nervous of because I believe this bit can get damaged. Oh, there's some glitter back here. Some things back here. Oh, what's this? Someone's button. Kids must have been in there at the back at some point. Yeah, so this next bit, I don't know. There's apparently clips. And apparently they break, and I haven't bought new ones. Right, I've realised that I've unclipped the bottom and I can actually get to the 3 bolts. There's a bolt here, and a bolt here. And I think they're all 13mm. So this is where a nice little spanner like this can really work well for you. So here's one. Now apparently you have to be quite careful of this because it's got bits of metal on the back. So you don't want to scratch interior panels or doors and things like that. You take it out. It's not too bad actually. Yeah, and the whole thing just comes out like this. There we go. And this here is those clips that were just refusing to undo. It's a shame because these two have both broken off, but that is now this inner panel out. And I believe, yeah, look, you can change the clips. So I can get 2 new, no, that one's broken, but I can get 2 new clips, but I'm not sure I need to because these 2 are okay and the bottom will hold in fine. So I think that's good as is. So the cable's going to run down here like this, up round here, and then there's like a little place there where part of the harness goes through there, and I can just, if I can thread something through there, then I can just pull the cable straight through that bit there, straight into the boot. So you have to do a little bit of disassembly in the boot. You have to take these two bolts out here, and then this little panel here can lift out. This panel here has to come out, so there's a screw here. You don't have to remove this, you just have to undo the screw there, and then there's a few of those plugs like on the back seat here. And then you can get this panel out. Be careful with the plug on the back of the 12-volt socket there. On the back panel, you just have to remove this clip and this clip here. You don't really have to do the others, because all you have to do is just pull this forward slightly, just so you can get into that corner to pull the cables through, and also have the space to go up here, up into this bit here. Right, I found a way through this big grommet here. I've just cut a little slit in it, because this grommet, it's like a rubber tube that goes down to nothing, so you can't push the cable through the grommet. You have to go around the outside. So I've cut a little slit in it, and I've fed this wire through it, and then I've run a piece of stainless steel wire, threaded it through into the boot out there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to masking tape this up so it's nice and smooth, and then I'm going to attempt to pull this wire through. I'm hoping this is going to work, because if it does, I can get all my seats back in before it rains, which will be handy. This bit was a little bit tricky. You just have to be patient and just take your time so as not to damage that cable. So here we are in the boot, and I've managed to get the cable through, and there it is there. It just gets caught up, you see, on these little bits here like this, because obviously it gets caught up in little bits and stuff that's down that little channel. So you just have to fiddle around with it. Now I've got to get all this insulation tape off. That's going to be fun. Next job will be to just run it up here, and then this is the cabling into the boot lid. So I've decided it is going on the boot lid, because what I can do is I can hopefully get it through this cable again. It's going to be fun. And then I can feed it up round here and tap it into the reverse lights and just stick it there. Yep, so you can just work the tube like this and pull that cable at the same time gently, and there it goes. Isn't that cool? That means all my reversing cables are through the hard bit. Now I've just got to get them through this lid up here to this point here, where I'm going to have the reversing camera. Getting there slowly. Right, so installing this reversing camera. You don't need to take these plugs out of the thing or take this cover off, I've realised, because I've managed to feed my wire up through there and retrieve it here, which means I can now pull the cable up through here into here. These are just sort of quarter or eighth turn, and they sort of click out of the light here. There's 3 bolts on the light and 1 down there, and with those undone, the light comes off nicely like so, and then you can just sort of eke that camera line straight through the thing there. Notice the sort of silvery aspect of the boot there. That's because the boot lid is aluminium. Oops, jeez, I'm gonna do that. So the little camera, I'm just going to stick with the tape that comes with it, just up like that. So the reversing camera will actually get its power from that reverse light. So when you put the car into reverse, it will send power through to the reversing light, which will send power to the camera and immediately flick the head unit onto the reversing camera view. So it's actually really easy to install this bit. I'm soldering in the lines like this. I've twisted them together, then soldering, and then I'm putting heat shrink over the top. That's it. Only needs a little bit. There's a cool gun, just on one setting 1, works well. And that should do it. Alright, so I'm just going to stick this camera on. So I've used a bit of brake cleaner on the paint there, just to make sure there's no dirt on the paint or stuff. Oh, so I think I want it just up there like that, I think will do. and I think that will be sufficient for my purposes. So before I button all this up, obviously there's a bolt up here that you mustn't forget when you put this panel in. Don't forget the little 12-volt cigarette lighter in the boot. Reconnect that. There's your parking module if you have any problems ever with that. And that there is your amplifier for the rear subwoofer and everything. And this little cable here, which is accessible for a little hatch, is your emergency pull cord for your petrol cap, should you ever find that the solenoid breaks or something and you can't fill up with petrol. So that's the reversing camera all installed now, and I'm really happy with it. By the way, these guidelines that are sticking out somewhere like this, you can change those and configure them how you want. So you can actually stick like a rod behind the car and measure that to be, let's say, 20 centimeters and adjust the red line to it. Or if you're reversing into your garage, perhaps you could set it up to particular points in the garage that you want the car to get to. And, you know, so you can configure this pretty much how you want it to be. But I'm really happy with this setting for now. So now with that all done, it's time to go install that DAB radio up at the front. Right, I've got the DAB antenna here. Not sure if it's DAB or you say DAB, but I've got it. And I've watched a couple of YouTube videos, one by Saab Unleashed, and he said that all Android units are capable of accepting a DAB adapter and therefore becoming DAB capable. So yeah, apparently all you need is the antenna and then the app on the, load the app onto the Android unit and it should all be good. So I just bought this Xtrons one here, which has got some instructions on the back here, and apparently this antenna is going to go on my window like that, unfortunately on the window, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind, it'll be out the way. I mean, you hardly see it. I need to put this copper piece here onto the bodywork, and that means I need to take a little bit of the paint off to get it so that this connects to the ground of the body, because basically this becomes, the car becomes the ground, and this is like the bit of the antenna, and yeah. So I've just got to take this off again. I seem to be taking this pillar off all the blimmin' time, and I've still forgotten how you do it. So I just prise this off like this. I forgot it came off like that. And then you just sort of carefully get your fingers like that and pull, and that comes off like that. Quite easy actually. There's the 4G antenna that I stuck up last time. So all I've got to do is stick this somewhere logical. I think I'm going to go there. Right, so I'm going to stick it right there. So unfortunately I have to do this rather nasty thing of sanding my nice good paint just to make a connection into the car bodywork. But it is quite important to make that good connection, really, because otherwise the antenna is not connected to anything. So now I don't want to put it tight to this edge here, because if I do that I'm not going to be able to get my pillar cover back on, because it's tight against the window. So I'm going to have to make sure that I stand this off slightly from the window, and it looks like I can get about there. So if I just peel that back like that, and then I'm going to go about there. Right, so now I've just got to carefully peel this off, and then just carefully I just realised I haven't cleaned the window. Just carefully go up like that, and the ground plane connects like that. All right, that should be okay. So now I've got that in there, and I've just pushed the wires down there. I need to drop this glove box down. Got the Apaches flying over. So this is a Torx something I can't read because it's all manky here, but you just undo those, and then it sort of comes down like this. It's quite cool. Now I can reach up, and literally the cable's just there. And now I should be able to just put this straight up. So you just sort of bring this back into place. And that should be that. And you see that bit is just round that bit nicely like that, which is good. And then I just push this back on like so, all the way down. And then the one thing to do is just push this gap, this piece up like this. Right, on the radio, I just have to go to Play Store, make sure I'm connected to the internet. My internet connections, oh, don't start this on me. Right, search. Dab. No, not dad. Dab. Blimmin' stupid fingers. Actually, Dab Z, that will do. I think that's the one that they said. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly test it now before I then stick all this back together again. Right, now if I go in here, right, I need to plug this in. I think I'm going to use this spare USB slot. So let's stick that in there. Let's see, DAB radio, blah, 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 colour scheme. Oh, I'm blooming no. Blue. Oh. I don't know what that means. So on that page, you need to scan the stations to lock in the stations you want to listen to. And just below, there's a setting for logos, and you can download the radio station logos, which is quite cool. Right, okay, so I've got it. So now I guess I can go here. Oh, wow. Right, so I've turned the volume down because otherwise I'll get a copyright strike. But yeah, I've got all the BBCs here, so if you're very young and you've got a poor taste in music, then there's Radio 1. If you're getting older, you've got Radio 2. If you're boring, you've got Radio 3. And if you end up being an old codger, then you end up having Radio 4. So I don't really know how to use this. I've just loaded it up. Obviously, you can change it from blue to green or whatever, and you can play around with it and make it however you want it to be. But that seems to be that working, so I better put all this lot back together again. Now, an Android head unit is just like your phone. You can install loads of applications like Netflix, Spotify, OBD2 diagnostic tools, navigation apps. To make all that more connected and accessible, you can then install a car launcher to give you that cool interface. The Google Play Store have a number of launchers to choose from. I'm going to use Agama. So my first job is to connect to the internet via my phone hotspot and then go to Play Store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Agama. That's the one that some people seem to have suggested. So install that. It's only 10.49 megabytes because it's basically a skin for this system. That might be an old term from the 80s. I don't know, from the 2000s or something. I'm not sure, but so that was quick. Trial 30 days, £5.99, unlimited license for all time. Well, let's see what it looks like. Oh, this looks cool. So it's telling me 18 satellites. So yeah, this looks quite nice, doesn't it? Settings. So your car, design theme presets. Oh, red carbon, green light. Oh, I quite like that. Let's just go for that for now. So how do I do the logo? But yeah, I can get the Maserati logo on here somewhere. Your car, Agama. Oh, here you go. Right, found it. I'm getting there eventually, ain't I? BYD. Oh, yeah. Do you know BYD? They've just made the fastest car. It like nearly does 500 kilometers an hour or something crazy. You know, they've taken the electric car to such an extreme. Right, Maserati. There we go. So, and there you go. Look at that. Cool. So now I've got the logo on here. So now it's quite easy apparently to set up. Hold on, cockpit settings. So app, I can choose which app. I think for navigation, I think I'm going to choose that. So if I go here, it goes into CarPlay. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's fantastic. So there's a way of making this the default setting so that every time you start up the car, this comes up. And I can't quite remember what it is. Home screen. Oh, set the launcher as home screen. There you go. Default home app, Agama. There we go. You do also need to go into apps, scroll down to settings, and then go down to where it says user, and you'll see it says application starts automatically, and make sure that you tick Agama and actually no others, and then it will start up when you start up the system. So yeah, basically each one of these things you can set up. So for instance, with the music, I can go to, oh, that looks like the Apple symbol. Ah, there you go. So yeah, I want to add, look, there you go. So you go like this, you get into the music tab, and now I want to add Bluetooth music as that one. So now when I go into here, I can go on here, and yeah. Excellent. I better get out of this before I get a copyright strike. So back to home, and we're back to home. It's not chronically difficult or horrendously complicated to do. That makes sense. So let's just test it. I'm going to turn the car off. I'll let it shut down. So if I press the button now. Okay. And this is where you get the standard line from the IT crowd. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Yeah, I hadn't actually properly rebooted the system for the changes to take effect because it had gone into sleep mode. So yeah, you just have to make sure you shut down the system and restart it properly. So that's everything installed now and working really well. And I would demonstrate the DAB radio to you by playing it, but I'd end up with a copyright strike. So just imagine that I'm really enjoying the radio now and it's working well. The 2K reverse camera is fantastic. You know, the thing you need to remember about that reverse camera is it only has to save you once, and it was very definitely worth all the effort, because it isn't much effort to put in. It's quite a quick thing to install, but as I say, you crash into something and insurance costs for the next 5 years because they'll penalise you for years, and all of that sort of stuff means that, yeah, I think a reverse camera on a car like this is a really good idea. The car launcher just gives you a little bit of a nicer sort of interface, and you know, it's very nice, and of course that's something you can always personalise or change in the future if a nicer one's produced by someone else, so it's just a nice thing to add. Well, that brings me to the end of this video, so I hope it's been mildly useful or entertaining for you. And if it has, then please consider liking and subscribing. And if you've got any comments or questions at all, I really don't mind, then please feel free to stick them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. So thanks very much for watching, and have a good day. That's nice, isn't it? It could just give me the thumbs up like that.